Hey everybody, it's Matt. I sound a little different due to recording from a headset on my laptop. Harley and Ivy was originally our plan for this week's episode, however, due to some technical difficulties, that episode has been delayed. Due to that, we decided to fast track on a Sunbeam to this week. We recorded and edited all of it today to get an episode out to you guys. Keep watch on your podcast provider of choice, though, as we'll get Harley and Ivy to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, that's it for me. Enjoy on a Sunbeam.
Hello, welcome to Talkin' Trades, a weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jeremy, I'm a DC fan.
And I'm John, I'm a Marvel nut.
And I'm Matt. Did you know in the 1940s there was a superhero called the Green Llama? He was a practicing Buddhist, and one of his powers was reincarnation.
What we got? We got arrows, we got lanterns. Can we get a llama?
Yeah, man.
We got the green giant, the jolly one. Yeah, we could probably go with a llama.
Yeah.
What were his powers?
It doesn't say all of them, but he was a practicing Buddhist.
That's not a power.
And reincarnation was one of them.
That seems... And he's the llama?
He was...
Like the Dalai Lama?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this out there. It was the 1940s.
That does feel culturally insensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's something that did, you know what? For the first time, I feel like the did you know? I legitimately did know.
Yeah,
I don't think I could have known.
That is all news to me.
Yeah.
Very
I
interesting.
figured, we're not doing a flagship.
This isn't a AAA book today.
Yeah.
This is not a DC Marvel boom or who else would be the big one? Image, DC, Marvel.
Dark Horse?
Who?
Dark Horse?
Dark Horse. And then like Archie. Yeah, those are probably the big five. And then the rest of them are all considered indie, quote unquote. But like Boom, yeah. So this is completely, I believe it's completely independently published when I looked up the about. Let me double check that.
I think so. The book we're talking about is, of course, On a Sunbeam. It is all free online.
It is all free online on onasunbeam.com.
You can also purchase it through Apple Books and
Amazon
Kindle,
and Amazon paperback as well.
Yep.
It is readily available. But before we get into the book, let's talk about what's going on this week in Geek.
This week in Geek.
This week in Geek, gentlemen, not a ton of news. Some unfortunate news that I'll start here with. Paul Soles was the original voice actor of Spider-Man back in the 60s, the 60s cartoon that everyone's seen that has that's where the Spider-Man song comes from. He was Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He has passed away this week, unfortunately. He was 90 years old. He also was on, in the late 70s, at Canada After Dark, and he was a presenter on CBC. So he was a Canadian actor. And he passed away, I believe it was just due to natural causes, at 90 years old. So the man who voiced...
a long life.
That's a long life and a well-accomplished life. I don't know that he got to experience all the wonderful love that... I mean, I loved that show growing up. Did you guys ever watch the 60s Spider-Man?
The 60s one, no.
Honestly, no. I was 90s.
It was... I mean, I watched both, but the 60s one was fun and goofy. So there was Spider-Man and his friends, which was the X-Men on it every once in a while. It was a good time. I liked that show. But everyone knows the song. So yeah. Paul Soles is still a part of every superhero fan's life forever. So rest in peace to Paul Soles. You will be sorely missed. That is the sad news of the day. What else do we got going on, gentlemen?
Also with Spider-Man, because, of course, the movie, we did the whole fun last week of confirmed or rumored. One of our rumored, Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone, has openly denied that she is in Spider-Man No Way Home.
And we all know that actors never tell lies.
No, of course not.
100% factual.
Absolutely.
We will see. That's all I got. We will see.
We will see.
She was one of the ones where I wasn't expecting to come back. Would have been nice, but I wasn't expecting that one.
I wasn't expecting her, and I wasn't expecting Kirsten Dunst for sure.
See, I was expecting Kirsten Dunst more because of what she got going on.
Yeah, true.
We got Cruella herself.
Right.
Yeah.
She's busy. She's got things going on.
She does have
things going on. The other rumor is on this movie, Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he's coming back, right?
I don't think so.
No way.
I would be very surprised.
No
yeah.
Way. He's dead. So even in his own universe, he's dead. So there's no way.
Right. And that's the thing, too, is that if you have Doc Ock, that is at least a year after the events of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it just doesn't work.
Dead, isn't he?
Yeah. But that's why I'm wondering if they're kind of plucking him during the events of 2.
He died.
Like during the events of 2, maybe at some point.
Do we ever see his body? Because we all know in superhero movies, if you don't see the body,
he doesn't die a monster.
Yeah.
No, he dies a hero. Ooh.
That's the point.
But yeah, Emma Stone, Matt, you're very broken up about it.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Emma Stone
I've been just crying the entire time since I saw that on IGN. I was like, why?
So the nice thing is, it's not even her most redheaded role. So
you're absolutely right. In fact, some would say it's her least
because she's blonde.
She's her natural
right up there with Cruella.
Yeah,
they're like neck and neck in terms of redhead.
Right, that's 2 colors, neither of which are red.
You're right.
That's red. That's black and white.
You're absolutely
so
right.
You know what? Arguably her second least.
Which means that's in the right
So
direction.
like if you miss out, like you're a big redhead guy. So like, you'll live.
Yes, I will.
So all Foxy Redheads, please tweet at Matt, whatever his Twitter handle is. It's in the description.
It's it's in the description. Yeah, it's not in the end. It's not in the.
You're still gotta adjust that eventually, but it is in the description of every podcast.
Yes,
so
the _ Batman 2112.
Some big news is here, Matt likes redheads. What other news do we have from this week in Geek, gentlemen?
Did you guys see Teen Titans Go to the movies?
No, I did not. But I heard
wanted
it was fun.
see it just for the after credits scene with the actual Titans.
I heard
that's
it was fun.
Cool. I heard it was fun too. I didn't see it, however, but that's okay because there's not a sequel, but they announced Teen Titans Go See Space Jam, which is straight up Space Jam with commentary from the Teen Titans.
You know what?
Tell you what.
Like original Space Jam or new Space Jam?
Space Jam.
Okay.
Like the graphic has the little like duders in the bottom.
The other one's
corner.
called The New Legacy.
Yeah.
The original, it's the original movie.
The very small amount of work you have to do to make that is genius.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a hit for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. What a good idea.
Yeah, and that'll be Sunday, June 20th on Cartoon Network, and it will get a digital release as well.
I'll watch that.
Fun.
I mean, I probably won't watch that, but not because I don't want to watch that. It's like,
but we'll just forget about it with the natural way things are.
Exactly. By the time this episode comes out, it's already happened. So let us know what you thought about it. Hopefully, it was fun. That's cool. That's a fun little idea. I love that kind of like again. That they already own the rights. It requires no additional actual work.
No.
Your voice actors sit in a room together and make jokes. Oh no,
no.
And then you animate like their shadows, but like realistically, you probably just have like 6 frames of animation per character would be fine.
Even then, you can just overlay those, like digitally put that on top of the movie itself. So it's not even, you have to
that's what I'm saying. Like
draw everything.
The little bit of work you have to do is just shadow.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. What else we got?
Not so much news, but given we talked about Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn last week.
Yeah.
There's been a series of headlines I'm seeing. It's not news, but we're pretty slow this week. And it seems to be that Margot Robbie is pushing for Poison Ivy to be in the DCEU. And for legal reasons, this next bit's a joke, but they seem to be escalating.
They seem to be escalating?
Yeah.
For legal reasons,
I saw so many headlines, different sources, and they went from like, Margot Robbie floats the idea of maybe Poison Ivy happening in the DCEU. Margot Robbie sternly asks that Poison Ivy be DCEU. Margot Robbie yearns for Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy to have a romance. Margot Robbie has taken a hostage. And
there's also Margot Robbie gives hopeful updates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that one right now.
Okay.
This was published on the 11th of May.
They just seem to steadily escalate.
Yeah.
Trust me, I chew their ear off about it all the time. They must be sick of hearing it, but I'm like, Poison Ivy. Come on, let's do it. I'm very keen to see a Harvey Poison Ivy relationship on screen. It would be so fun. So I keep pestering them. Don't worry.
Yeah, I
Good.
would.
And you know what? If someone's going to pester, they're going to listen to Margot Robbie above a lot of other people who are actors. She's got some pull. for sure. I mean, especially if the Suicide Squad does well,
Mhm.
which I'm sure it's going to do financially. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Whether or not it's a great movie is a different discussion, but it's going to make some money because the last Suicide Squad made
Suicide
money.
Squad made money and won an Oscar. So, I mean,
Oh my
Sure
balls in your
did.
court.
The fact
It
that
sure did.
Now, who would play Poison Ivy, and why does Matt want to be Emma Stone?
Ooh, that'd be great.
She's
Yeah,
a
she would.
Should
she
be
would.
way better than Uma Thurman. Just
What?
throwing that out there.
Come
Just like,
on.
Good job.
unabashed, throw that out there.
What? Come on.
I don't hold Uma Thurman again.
Don't hold it against her, but like
against
that
her.
movie is
Oh, yeah,
camp.
that movie is. I hold it against the writing because
Like the movie is so camp. It has counselors. It has kids that come every summer. There's
Oh my
canoeing.
God,
Like that
everyone
movie
hates
is so camp. It's insane.
Yeah.
Real
you're
quick
not
hot
wrong.
take about the director of that movie, Joel Schumacher. So I saw a tweet, and I was like, "Ooh, this is spicy. I got to bring this up." And I haven't mentioned it before because I want to see your genuine reaction, gentlemen. Christopher Nolan and the Dark Knight trilogy
Mhm.
did more
Mhm.
damage to Batman than Joel Schumacher.
Did more damage.
More damage to Batman and the character than Joel Schumacher.
I'm gonna go with strong disagree.
I don't know.
who said
man.
it?
I kind of don't. It's a hot take that's meant to be inflammatory. But if you break it down into realistic terms, the Dark Knight trilogy did damage Batman because now he has to be dark, he has to be broody, right? And it's the same thing that happened with the comics. Dark Knight Returns, not disgusted. That was something totally the comic book Dark Knight Returns did a lot of damage to the character because he had to be dark, he had to be kind of a jerk, blah 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 blah. Right? Frank Miller's story is phenomenal. The Dark Knight trilogy, phenomenal. However, the reception of both of those pieces of media have done some damage to Batman. Joel Schumacher did a lot of damage to Batman. Not saying he didn't. But Joel Schumacher was closer to Batman 66, which we all look back on very fondly as a
Yeah.
positive for Batman. Is it campy? Yes.
Put King Tut in the DCEU. You won't.
Oh my God. Or Hercules. I would love both those. But I think it's a legitimate discussion to be had of which one did more quote unquote damage. The answer is Joel Schumacher, but it's not the 90-10 that most people would think it is.
Right.
I don't think so, at least. I think that the Christopher Nolan films did damage Batman
Me
on a significantly smaller level.
not being nearly as invested in DC, I was under the impression that Dark Knight trilogy did not harm the IP.
Mhm.
I thought it, if anything, was very beneficial. Batman seemed to be taken seriously and popular because, like in the '90s, it was what it was. It was campy. We discussed it. And there's Batman Forever, etc. But
We've
now
discussed
it
how
was
Tim Burton ruined
serious.
Batman because I've established that it's a correct thing.
Mm.
Tim Burton ruined Batman.
Oh yeah. And then there was a way overcorrection. They were trying to settle things, whole mess. But I was in the impression that it was like Batman Begins made Batman super cool again.
Yeah.
But okay,
And Dark
but
Knight was
But that is the
better.
issue. That is the issue. It's not that it wasn't successful or anything like that, because it was. But now the perception of Batman and I think, John, you're the perfect person for this, to the person who's not invested in Batman, the current perception is that he has to be this one way.
That is
Where
me.
in the
Yes.
comics, for a good chunk of time, he was not that.
No, he was very, very just goofy.
Well, the spectrum doesn't have to just be goofy or too serious. He
Mm.
can do both things. There were a time in the comics, even in the 80s, after Batman 66 and before the Joel Schumacher movies, where Batman was serious to a point, but was able to be like rational. Batman now is so logic driven and so black and white that he, like, a lot of the greatest stories are about how he's a kind of a scumbag to
Yeah.
his family, and they
Yeah.
have to bring him back in. And whether or not is that good or bad, it's kind of because of two pieces of media, and that's the Dark Knight Returns and the Dark Knight trilogy.
I could see that.
Is it bad? It's not for me to decide. I'm just making a point that to the layman or to the person who doesn't know Batman or doesn't like Batman that much, just sees Batman, they only see him as, oh, he's kind of an angry guy, when he was not his defining characteristic for a good chunk of time. I mean, I think Tom King did a great job of kind of redirecting Batman to, like, with the wedding and stuff like that. But then DC said, no, you can't do that. So they made him cut the wedding off.
Yeah.
Or that's rumored that maybe he was going to cut the wedding off the whole time. But you can't have Batman get married and be happy because then he's not Batman. Why? Well, he can still be Batman.
Yeah, he can still do what Batman does.
But in the movies, he couldn't be happy. Because as soon as he gets happy, it's Talia al Ghul stabbing him.
Yeah.
And then he wants to actually be happy. He has to leave being Batman. Why can't he do both? You know?
Why can't you choose your middle name? Robin. Just saying.
It's still the dumbest thing in this show. Still the
I
dumbest
really
thing in this
didn't
show.
like that.
Just let him be Jason Blake.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can still have him be the next Nightwing or whoever, or the next Batman. Ugh, that was so dumb.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one.
So dumb. But that's it. I think that's a debate to have with smarter people another time. But
Yeah.
it was
What are you
interesting.
trying to say?
And it was. I'm saying that the three of us combined are very intelligent. We're too smart for this debate, and too handsome. But the tweet, while intentionally inflammatory, made me legitimately think about it,
Yeah.
which was fun.
That's interesting.
But I wanted to see Matt's reaction intentionally, and though we don't have a camera on Matt, he was very mad at first.
Yeah.
He was very upset.
I love those movies.
I guess I never just thought of. I guess I never realized that they had damaged the brand, but I'd never read the comics before those movies came out.
I don't
So
think they
there's
damaged the brand. I think they made the brand be a different brand, which damages the previous stuff.
that. Gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is Batman worse off those movies? Absolutely not.
No.
He rakes in a ton of Batman and like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and Jesus Christ are probably the most like everybody in the world knows
Yeah.
those four things. And Coca-Cola. You could drop them in the middle of the desert and someone go, that's Batman. I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
But does it damage the way that people
So-
have to think about him?
So basically, the argument from Mr. Schumacher is that the
Joel
these-
Schumacher did not tweet this.
Okay.
Joel Schumacher did not tweet this.
Okay.
This was
I
somebody
want that
else
known.
completely.
This was just like us tweeting this. This was just
Then-
a guy.
I redact that statement
Okay.
and
Why
instead.
did he not that anyone listens
Well,
to this podcast anyway.
I'm sorry. I may have misheard it.
No, you're good.
But so the argument being proposed is that he's basically the character / IP is put in too small of a box that it has
Because
to
of-
adhere to
yes.
because of these.
Yes. That is the crux of that tweet. Yes.
I don't know that I agree with it, but I can definitely see it.
Yeah, I can see it, but I mean, especially now with Batman and the whole Bat family, like you can have Batman be the grumpy guy, the grumpy dad.
But that is what I think that's what Nolan did is turn him into that is what I think is what's being said. He doesn't have to. He can be just the smart guy on the team. You know, I think the DC animated stuff with Batman, with like the Justice League show, he's much funnier in that. He's still the straight man. He's still the logic thinking, and you know, he's the dark guy. But he makes a lot more jokes. He's like that Batman and Christopher Nolan's Batman would never lie.
No.
You know, give me a good
That's
old
okay,
give me a good old wry smile.
right? I'm blanking, and it's really bothering me. The man who plays Batman's voice,
Kevin
Thank
Conroy.
you.
Kevin Conroy. The way that he portrays Batman is
Yeah, animated
one way.
series Batman is
That's one way.
Top tier.
so good.
The Christopher Nolan Batman, they're very different characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. But which one do you think it's written about more? Which one do you think it's thought about more by the everyman, by the average person? It's the Christopher Nolan.
It's not the one wearing hockey pants.
You just made me a new car. Also, I cannot stand Christian Bale's voice in those movies.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's Batman is my least favorite Batman.
I feel like they could have gone the Ben Affleck route,
where he turns the thing on.
Yeah, the arrow route, with just using the voice
Because
modulator.
then he could turn it off when he's talking like a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, whatever. That's, again, a debate to be had on another podcast, another time. It was just interesting. And it did exactly what it was supposed to. It made us think, it made us talk about it. So,
Yeah.
Good job, tweeter. I'll find out who tweeted that.
yeah, good job. But
You done did.
That was a think piece.
But also, I disagree with you completely.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Dark Knight's great.
I'm going to look it up. What else we got?
That's all I got on my end. This is a little behind the curtain here. We are recording earlier in the week than normal. It's also a holiday weekend, so there's just less news.
Yeah, you're welcome for that behind the curtain. Next one's gonna cost you.
First one's free.
Yeah,
First one's free. That's right.
Check out our Patreon.
Patreon is coming. Patreon is coming. Patreon is coming. It is set up. We have one tier right now ready to go. I have to actually get it out. We have to talk about that as a team, but it's happening. It's coming.
And that is 2 behind the curtain for broadcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. We generally charge at this point.
So let's jump right into the pull list this week then.
Yeah, pull it.
Here's your pull list.
This week on the pull list, we are reading On a Sunbeam, which is written and drawn by Tilly Walden. You can find out more information about Tilly Walden on their website, On a Sunbeam, onasunbeam.com. On here, it says they really don't do media. They don't have, they don't really follow, they don't open their DMs and stuff like that. But if you want to contact them, they have a PO box, which is cool. I'm legitimately thinking about writing them a PO or a letter, like, and putting in their PO box, like an appreciation letter. Because I really enjoyed this book. And to put it out, this is their second or third book. I think this is their second book after Spinning, which is a memoir. It's all self-published. I think this is an incredible book, and it's really fun, and it's really, really well done. And it's all done by Tilly, like art and writing, all one person, which is really cool. But let's just jump right into this book. We open the book with the cover. It actually has a quote from Brian K. Vaughan, who wrote Saga and Paper Girls. And it says, Tilly Walden is the future of comics. On a Sunbeam is her best work yet. It's a space story unlike any you've ever read, with rich, lived-in universe and complex characters. Now, Matt, you came over today to record the podcast, and your first question was, why are the ships fish?
Why are there fish?
And I said, why not?
Why not?
Why are there
Thank
fish?
you, John.
You know,
Why not? That's the real question.
I just want to know.
No, for sure. Why not?
Just
you have more questions on that than like the staircase and how that works?
no. That all makes sense. That all made sense to me.
To a space guy? That probably does.
Yeah, that all made sense to me in my
Your well-oiled machine of a brain.
yeah, a well-oiled machine of a sci-fi nerd. I just want to know why they're fish.
It's nice.
I repeat, why not? Why not? Mm-hmm.
And why are they like living? Because they have like facial expression?
No, that'd be stupid. They're space mechanical fish.
Yeah, okay.
They're not, no, because they actively work on the fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're clearly robots. They're like koi fish. They're
Nice. That was cool.
Yeah,
It's definitely an artistic choice.
Yeah, it's definitely not my least favorite spaceship. That
What's your least favorite spaceship?
That goes to
The fact that you have a least favorite spaceship.
Super Mario Galaxy 2, where it is just his face.
All right,
All right.
That's fair.
That's
From the space guy.
I'm like, I don't know that I have a least favorite, but
From-
that's, I
from-
guess,
I
would
don't
be
know
up
that I have
there.
a favorite.
from the space guy / Sonic the Hedgehog guy. Yeah, it's like Mario, get over yourself.
That seems like you're attacking like, hey, Apple, you're not that good.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it's Mario. Like, I think he's allowed to have a little bit of.
yeah,
ego.
Apple, you aren't that good. Even though I have an iPad and an iMac and an iPhone.
It's fine.
You're So On a Sunbeam opens up with
Top level, one thing I want to call out with this
Oh,
book is the art direction used. Very rarely will you see more than, excluding black, like 3 or 4 colors.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was gorgeous and beautiful and very well done throughout.
and I think this is all digital. So it's not like a saving ink thing. It's just a choice. And it's
Yeah,
very cool.
and it's excellent choice. It happened very well. And now I'm thinking about these fish, Matt. I think it's like the space might be like an ocean,
Yeah,
right? Deep space, deep sea, etc. And I
can
think the
see
fish
that.
kind of play into that theme.
I can see that.
Not that it's like referenced anywhere else, but I think that just kind of
Literally,
that's what I got from
think
it.
fish
yeah.
spaceships have absolutely no bearing on this story. I just wanted to know why. That's
At no
all.
point is it said, and I read through the bio on the website, at no point is it said, but I think that it was purely an artistic choice. It's just
Yeah.
fun. So yeah.
Maybe she just likes to draw fish.
Why not?
So we open up with Mia. Mia's our main character. Mia's our antagonist in this book. Our
Protagonist.
Protagonist.
Mia's awful. She tries to stop Mia. And she is the protagonist of this book.
We
And
don't really
she's
have an
joining
antagonist.
a crew. The antagonist is time and just the worst.
Life.
Life is
I
the
guess
antagonist.
that one student, I guess.
That student's more like a speed bump. Life is the antagonist of this book. Mia is joining a crew of people who restore things, whether that's a commercial building or all the way down. We see them restoring it's not a museum. It's going to be a museum. It's like a chapel or like a holy location. I don't know. They don't specify like what it is.
Well, overall, they take buildings that are one thing and they make them something else for use throughout all of space.
Whether it's just refurbishing or it's completely overhauling or just whatever. Like when they get to, at one point, they're fixing an office building. They have to literally put the office building back together.
And make it
Very
apartments.
And they all have, that's right, they all have different jobs.
Yep.
Mia's job is kind of the jack of all trades, do whatever is needed because she's the youngest in the crew. You have Alma is the voice for the captain, but isn't the captain. Her wife is the captain, which is Charlotte. Charlotte
Alma's
is the captain.
in quotes.
But she runs everything because Charlotte doesn't like to talk much. She's quiet. She's an introvert. Alma is the extrovert.
I love
Alma
Charlotte.
does
I felt
everything.
so bad for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
oh man,
we'll get there.
What a time.
Elliot, no one knows what Elliot does.
The
point is that no one knows what Elliot does.
Gotcha.
That's the point too. Electrical stuff is what Elliot does a lot of, but nobody knows exactly what they do. And we keep saying they because Elliot is non-binary. So we will be using they for Elliot the entire book. We also have
Elliot also does not speak.
And it's selective mute. It's a choice. They do speak at some points in the book, but it's much later. Then we have the last character whose name I can't remember all of a sudden. The younger one,
Jules.
And she's, man, oh man, she's just the like hyper Twinkie energy. I love Jules.
I love
she's
Jules so much.
She's great. Big fan.
When she's like, I'll get the coffee at the games.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, you're my favorite.
1 a.m. I'm waiting up here to acknowledge you. She's great. Now, we cannot go through this book beat by beat because it is too long. It's 500 pages.
It may have been longer than I anticipated. It's definitely outside the scope of what we would normally cover on one episode.
But it's really good.
It's still, story-wise, it was a long read, but it still felt like a story that
as far as number of events, sure. But the thing is, this game, forgive me.
You need to stop playing Resident Evil before you come over.
No.
That's fair.
This book does an exceptional, among the best I've ever seen, job of characterization, of showing, not telling, all the relationships all these characters have, their histories. Every conversation feels natural and unforced, and how these characters would actually speak. So we're going to cover largely the events, but we highly, highly, highly encourage you check this book out. Again, it's on the sunbeam.com.
For the first time
that's
ever.
How I read it. It's all free.
I'm going to put the links into the description to buy the book.
I kind
really
of do want. Is there a physical?
Yeah,
I do want a physical. It was really good.
$20 on Amazon for the physical.
It was really good. I loved it.
Absolutely. I'm going to.
And also, the art's breathtaking, and we can't possibly convey that on this audio medium.
The art is really simplistic at times, but
it's so good.
Every character looks different. Like sometimes you get that we run into it, like who is this character? It happens in like Marvel books or DC books. Like they kind of look like who is this supposed to be? It's like, oh, well, they told you earlier that they were in this shirt. Like, okay, that's kind of hard to read. At no point did any two characters look the same in this book. Even the sisters, Grace's sisters, all look very different.
Yeah.
Matt pointed out something else when he got here, and we hadn't talked about it yet. There's no men in this book. And I didn't notice it until Matt pointed it out, but there is no men in this book.
There's no characters. They're there. Like one of the teams has like a guy on it. The Lux teams.
Oh, do they?
Oh. And like the lineup, yeah. But they're not a character. They're just.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying to Matt, I don't think it was like there are no men in this universe. It's just the people that we interact with we're at an all girls school. Then we're in an mostly female, including a non-binary person crew. And then we see a mom and three sisters and the husband had died. So that's it. Like it didn't feel like it was like, there are no men. It's just, this is not, you're not interacting with them.
And like how many times we were at something where there just aren't women or played it, especially a video game where there's aren't female characters.
I don't know. That never happens.
What?
Are women excluded from things? Or people of color excluded from things? Or people with different gender identities excluded from things?
Yes, absolutely.
No, not
That's
here in
never
the
happened.
USA of US of A.
No,
actually, especially
USA of America.
What's nice though is this reminds me of. I don't know if you guys have seen Schitt's Creek.
I've only heard about it.
I've only heard good things.
It is excellent. Again, strongly recommended. But what that show did was one of the main characters is gay. Is it gay or bi? Maybe it's anyway. David, one of the main characters, likes everything. There's a whole wine analogy. It's one of the.
Is he pansexual?
Possibly, yeah. They don't really define it.
My understanding of pansexual is everything gender fluid, non-binary.
There's a little wine thing where they
can be attracted to anybody.
Yeah, his friends like, I thought you liked white wine. It's like, I love white wine. I also love red wine. Sometimes I'll do a blush. And that's about all that discussion is, and it's great.
This is one of the four main characters, right? This is the guy. This is not the two parents. There's the two kids. Okay, so I know the actor you're talking about.
Yeah. And what that show did was it never at all had a homophobic character, never any roadblocks to anything they tried to pursue in terms of
because of their sexuality.
Right. So they created a world
because of the story.
Yeah. They created a world that is better than the world we live in. And it's a very similar, maybe not similar,
Canada.
but it's the same vibe here in On a Sunbeam, where Nothing. Any of these relationships, none of them are frowned upon.
Yeah. Just people are like, okay, cool.
Mia has 2 moms, and that's super fine.
God,
Like, there's
what a
no
concept,
problem.
right?
Period.
What a concept that must be.
Mhm.
To have like things
That's
just be
great.
natural and like
Mhm,
normal.
mhm,
Wow.
mhm,
I think Schitt's Creek is Canadian, which makes a lot of
It is
sense.
Canadian.
There you go.
But also, could you imagine?
Canada, land of milk and honey, which also has its own issues. But let's get back to the book. So the book deals with, it opens up with Mia joining this crew. This crew is going to restore a holy site into a museum. That's their job. They're turning a museum. And there's one part of it that's kind of cut off, and someone else is going to work on that later. It's much more dangerous. And as we go through, we see a little bit of color here. The first bit of color we see actually is gold. So it's like all red and black. And we see a little bit of gold, which is perfect because the next bit of color we see is also gold in a flashback. So the book takes place between 2 different timelines, the now and the 5 years earlier timeline. The now timeline is Mia working with the crew on doing stuff. The timeline 5 years earlier is Mia in school at Crisley's school for
Bailey's,
girls?
I think.
Whatever.
They mention it later.
It's her
Beverly's.
school. It's her all girls preparatory school. That's where the 5 years takes place. Mia is she has to go to an assembly. She doesn't want to go. She's going to get in trouble. So she sneaks off to go see. We don't know what this is yet, but we later learn that it's the Lux Field. And Lux is a game played on ships where you have to capture planets. And if it sounds confusing to you, it's because it is. And at no point do they explain the rules because it's a made-up fantasy game, and I love that.
I like that. I like that
They
a
do
lot.
the D&D game later where like they don't ever explain the rules. Good.
We should do the side quest.
Like, you know how hard it
It's
is to
great.
make your own game of any sort? It's darn near impossible. So when you don't have to explain the rules or when you don't try to explain the rules, I'm super in.
Mhm.
And you don't need to make me like, if this was a Marvel book, they would make the game where there's rules and you could buy the game.
Hmm.
They'd sell it. At no point does Tilly Walden try to explain the rules. Great. It's a made-up fantasy world where they have fish for spaceships. I don't care. Don't make the game a real thing. I love this. She gets caught trying to get into this Lux Field because apparently she's not supposed to be in there. Again, not explained yet.
Well,
And she
we're supposed to be
runs
the
into a
assembly.
girl. What's that?
Everyone's supposed to be at assembly.
Right, but she's also not supposed to be here. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that she's here is a problem. She had been in her room. They'd have been like, "You're not. Come on now." She's in a restricted area, and she runs into this girl, or she gets in trouble, and she gets brought to the principal's office. And there's another girl there. Her name is Grace. And the next bit of gold we see is on Grace's shoes. Really cute. Her and Grace talked a little bit. The principal's like, you can't do the thing. And she's like, you're in trouble. You keep getting in trouble. And Grace is also in trouble for wearing her strange shoes. And they become kind of friends. They have this like little mini friendship here. It doesn't work out initially.
Yeah, Mia's
Grace
like,
eats
what
alone.
are you in for?
Yeah, Grace
Which
eats
is
alone
great.
at lunch. Mia's like, let's be friends. And Grace's like, that's fine. I kind of like being alone. Grace is definitely a loner person. She seems very socially awkward and things like that. Eventually, Grace invites Mia to her room and they kind of start to hang out. And you see that Grace is the only person who lives completely alone in the entire school.
And that's that's a big deal.
It's really weird. She lives like on a corner of the school by herself. And Mia's like, that's weird. We cut back to now. We're going to keep doing this. This is how the book is going to go. We're going to cut back and forth here a little bit here. And again, we are not covering even half of the detail in this book. You need to buy this book yourself and read it. It is so worth your time. This is one of those books that is probably going to be like Mouse or Fun Home or the I Dragon, one about the Chinese immigrant. This should be taught in schools. This is a really good book that does, John has already said it, characterization really well. The show don't tell aspect of this book is phenomenal. Jumping back to the now in chapter 2, we see that they're restoring and things are going okay for Mia. Mia is definitely kind of behind. This is new to her. It's a job.
It's new to her, and this crew is like a family, and she just got here. So it's a tough dynamic to just kind of squeeze right into.
Yeah. She works with Shar. She works with Jules. She works with Alma a little bit here and there. And she starts to build relationships with Jules and Elliot. And they get very close as this goes on. Elliot and Jules are playing games, and Mia's like, oh, that seems fine. You guys do your thing. But as this relationship progresses with all of them, she will grow closer and closer to them. Like I said, she continues to work and she continues to develop these relationships with these people, and it's all very positive. The game that they're playing is the game that we mentioned earlier. It's like a D&D style, like board game. We don't know the rules, but it just looks super fun. They don't explain it. It's great.
It's great. I think the next main thing that happens on the now timeline is that they are restoring this site. Part of it's roped off, and the part of it, and Jules, I keep wanting to call her Josie for genuinely no reason. Jules always takes notes and keeps a journal of every site before they change it. Because that way, even if it's forgotten, they will still remember it. They will still see what's happening.
Is that what's happening now?
I think that's the next major beat in the now.
In chapter 2?
Maybe 3 years later.
It's that, and you also find out that Jules' mom is dead.
Yes.
That's the other big thing.
And that Alma is her aunt.
Almost her aunt, yes. And Jules doesn't want anyone to know that. She likes to keep her details to herself. But not out of like I'm embarrassed. It's like, it is kind of I'm embarrassed, but like in a fun teenage way, like, oh, that's, oh, man,
well, she just wants to be a normal person.
It's not like I hate my aunt or my mom. She killed my mom. It's nothing like that. It is very much normal embarrassment.
Yep.
Which is fine. Every once in a while, it's kind of nice to have a normal developing teenager, right? In books, holy cow.
Yeah, Jules' mom was the middle child of 3.
Actually, Mia's incredibly well developed. Grace has a tougher time, I think. Mia's incredibly not neurotypical, but she seems like a very normal developing teenager who has anxiety and she has issues. And I love Mia as a character. Jules is another one. Different path, but like both had, because Mia's parents her moms are super loving and wonderful, and she has a great relationship with them. Jules seems to have a great relationship with her late mother and her aunt. So Jules is also very happy. It's just two different sides of the same coin. They both had a pretty good upbringing, and you see how different that can turn out for two different people. But it's I feel like in a lot of comic books, we get a lot of like damaged people, like broken people, like from the childhood. It's nice to see people who are damaged because life is terrible, not just because their parents were terrible. Every once in a while, right? No super villains here, which is nice. Everyone here is a hero, or they try to be, except for Joe. Joe sucks.
Yeah, but even then, there's some characterization for Joe.
Yeah. We cut back in chapter 3. We cut back to the school again 5 years ago. We see that Mia is like not paying attention in school. She is not giving up. She's not giving her best effort. Her and Grace are both in detention for a week because of Mia breaking into that place and Grace wearing shoes that were not uniform. And this is where they start to develop that relationship. They get closer and closer here. And you see also that Mia's schoolwork is starting to fall behind. Mia was doing really well last year, and this year she's having a struggle. She's really falling behind. We don't know why. We don't actually ever find out exactly why. I think it's just teenagers having a tough teenage time.
I think she just got distracted.
Even before Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is happening before Grace. Her grades are slipping now, and now she's meeting Grace.
Oh, maybe
her grades continue to slip because she wants to spend more time with Grace. But I think she's just a sophomore in high school.
My guess would be that, and maybe she's just super obsessed with Lux and can't think of anything else because she's very, very obsessed with Lux.
That's very possible.
Which is the game. I don't know if we mentioned it by name. But
Lux is the game with fish where you catch planets. They never explain it. It's great. Grace and Mia's relationship gets better and better, and they become closer and closer friends, blah, blah, blah. This is where Mia talks about, hey, I really wish I could play on the Lux team. Grace is like, well, why don't you? Well, I can't. I'm a sophomore. I'm a freshman. They don't let freshmen on the team. And she goes, well, have you asked? She goes, no, you don't ask. You're not allowed to join the team. And Grace goes, well, we're asking. Very much just black and white. No, we're going to go ask. And Mia's like, no, you can't do that. And it's too late. Grace is already talking to the coach. Coach is like, I don't know. Like, we don't let freshmen on the team. She's like, no. She's going to help clean. She's going to do all the dirty work for you guys. Just let her be on the team. Like, come on, it'll be fun. Coach is like, fine, whatever. You're here at 5 a.m. tomorrow. And Mia's super grateful. This is like the first breakthrough moment of that friendship. Mia's like, this is amazing. I can't believe you did that for me. That was so nice, blah, blah, blah. Grace is like, well, you just had to ask. It's not that, what are you talking about? You just asked.
Yeah.
Very logical, very cute. They hug and they're becoming friends and it's real cute. Then we see, what's her name? This one's name, I forget her name. She's just the worst.
I forget her name too. Closest thing is what cast an antagonist.
Christine or something like that. Maybe they never name her. No, they name her for sure because she's yelling at her when she's locked in. This bully, the blonde hair bully is like clearly very damaged on her own and takes down other people.
Yeah.
So much to the point where she says it later. Takes Grace's necklace and Grace goes, I need that. It's my powers. And at this point, I'm thinking like, yo, is she like magic? That's insane.
And I'm saying we got ships that are fish. Sky, like anything's possible.
and like no one knows where Grace is from. She's the only one who lives alone. She's like weird special privileges. Is she magical? I don't know. I do know because I read the book, but I guess let's find out. And Mia's like, I will get you your powers back. I will get you your necklace back. I promise.
Yeah.
We cut back to the now and we see that Mia's reading the journals that Alma wrote. Alma wrote the journals, right?
No, Jules.
Jules writes the journals. Char writes the journals.
You're right. Char's journals.
Char's journals. Jules makes fun of her for reading because like, yeah, lady, you're a nerd. Jules is great. I think Jules is the best character in the book. She's
Jules
so
is
fun.
probably my favorite.
She's so fun. I like Elliot too, but I really like Jules.
I like all of them.
I don't hate anybody in this book who's a main character.
Like
They're
I
all
like
great.
all of the principal cast.
It's a great principal cast. Like, yeah, no, she's reading and she's reading. And she focuses on this thing that the last place the founder was seen was this area that's roped off that John was talking about earlier. And what's interesting is that this founder was rumored to have gone to the staircase. And at this point in the book, nothing has been explained. You're just hearing about the founder of this religion and the staircase. And what is this?
The religion, the cool tidbit I felt for that was that it was...
Everyone had 10 rooms to themselves because the founder had left something in here, and they
felt that was like the
God,
key to happiness.
No, their God, their deity was a tangible thing, and this thing was somewhere in the temple, and they had to find it, and they could never find it. People went mad looking for it, and the founder left. Blah blah blah. We don't know. It was like 100 people were in this religion. It's very interesting. Again, if you wanted to, if this was Marvel, they could take all of these little things and turn them into spin-off books and a game. Like, here's a Lux set, here are toys, right? But the fact that this is just one person doing this, it's up to kind of your brain to think about a lot of this stuff, which is super cool. And we don't get enough of that, where
and the fact
nothing
that
is explained.
All the dialogue makes the world feel really lived in. Your brain just goes, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. At no point did I feel lost.
This makes sense.
When I was confused, I'd go, I'm sure I'll learn.
Yeah.
Which in a comic book, like a DC or Marvel book, I'm like, well, I don't know what this is, and that's frustrating.
So Jules is talking with Alma, and meanwhile, Mia sees the area from Char's notebook.
Where the founder was last seen, where the founder went to the staircase.
Yep. So she cuts through the tape, goes on the platform, and immediately Jules like, no, what are you doing? We didn't secure that area. It's not safe.
You're not supposed to be there.
And the ground starts to crack.
Flashback 5 years. Flashback 5 years. Mia is trying to get that necklace back. She's trying to figure out where the necklace is. She's having dreams about Lux. She's cleaning up at Lux, and she's getting better and better. Like she's part of the team now, which is positive. She's talking to Grace.
Cleaning up.
Yeah, but she is there. It's consistent.
She's got a foot in the door.
Yeah, which is all she needed. And she's like, hey, I want to break in to Grace. Let's break in tonight and go to the Lux field, and we can practice flying the ship. And Grace is like, that's a terrible idea. And she goes, I know. I'll see you tonight at 2 a.m. And Grace is like, all right. So she ends up breaking Grace out of her room, and they go to the Lux field, and they're there. And she's like, all right, I'm going to jump in the ship. You start the game, essentially. Grace goes, this is a bad idea. She goes, yeah, well, we'll see what happens. She ends up crashing the ship, which is a huge problem.
Oh, yeah. And then also with huge problems in the modern day, the platform is crumbling. Jules rushes out to get her. Alma and Char have to come out and help. The platform does crumble, but Mia is safe.
At the same time this is happening, we see that so Alma and Char are talking like, this is a problem. This is going to cause us a lot of issues. What are we going to do? At the same time, the ship is crashing. Grace is running to Mia in the past. And Grace is like, or Mia's like, well, this is a problem. But Grace says, we're going to make it out of here eventually. We'll be okay. And the chapter ends with Mia being scared she's going to get expelled from school because she broke this thing.
Yeah.
So she tries to talk to Grace, and she's not really paying attention in school. And she's like, Grace, we have to get our story straight. And Grace says, no, I'm going to tell them the truth, because you can't do that. We'll get expelled. She goes, no, I can't act like you, Mia. I have to do what I'm going to do, which scares the hell out of Mia. Mia doesn't want to get in trouble to get expelled. Right. She, as much as she complains about the school, she does like it here. And we'll see that later, that she does have a lot of positive interactions here. This is a good place for her.
Yeah. The next steps for the now, there's a heart track conversation with Alma and Mia.
No, not
She's
yet.
like, oh no, I thought that was next steps.
We stay in the before times for a little bit longer, in a long ago. And the principal pulls in Mia and is like, hey, did you do it? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. Something crashed. Like, listen, we know it was you. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they bring in Grace. And Grace goes and talks. Mia doesn't get in trouble.
Not at all.
Which is weird. And then that bully girl comes in and is a bully again to...
She's just the worst.
She's just so mean. And this gives Mia the idea that she hasn't seen Grace. Grace is still talking to the principal. Grace goes after the bully girl, and she beats the hell out of her. it's a knockdown, drag out fight. We are led to believe. We don't actually see it. But she gets the necklace back and she goes to Grace and she says, I got your powers back. And she gives Grace the necklace. We don't find out what happened with the principal and Grace, but clearly Mia's not in trouble. We don't know why, but Mia's not in trouble. Now we cut to the now with Mia and Char. No, Mia and Alma.
Mia and Alma.
And I was like, you know that we're basically screwed.
Yeah, she goes, here's the deal. If we decide to report this incident, which we are legally required to do, there's going to be consequences. Because this was on Char's watch, they're going to fall to Char. And things are going to change. So
she will be penalized for
that's
sure.
what's going on. And Mia is just, why would it be that way? It was 100% my fault. It was 0% Char's fault. It doesn't make any sense. But that's the reality of the world. So
Char walks in then.
Yeah. So
says,
she's dealing
"Mia,
with, we as the reader are seeing in the past, someone's taking consequences. It wasn't me who got in fault for the Lux.
That's not happening at the same time.
No, but like, it's the two threads are weaving together. And then in the modern day, we're seeing that, well, Char is going to have to take the fall.
Yeah, because it's not.
There's not the fall, but like she's going to see the consequences.
And the big difference is the before issue was Mia's fault because she was being reckless. This one's Mia's fault. We don't know why, but it definitely didn't seem like it was, I'm going to break something or I'm going to. But she went where she wasn't supposed to go.
Correct. She did know she wasn't supposed to be there. It was taped off.
So has she learned a lesson? We don't. Doesn't seem like it. We don't know what's happened in the 5 years in between. It doesn't seem like it.
I would argue no.
I'll do a quick check-in here. We're about a quarter of the way through, which is why we still have a lot to go. Matt, how are you feeling with the book at this point? A quarter of the way through.
I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Any thoughts or? I want to make sure you're involved.
I appreciate that. No. Yeah, it's been interesting. Like, it's an interesting book.
Who's your favorite character so far?
Jules.
Yeah,
Jules or Elle. Yeah. I really like Elle.
That's right. I'm with you. It's fun. It's real fun.
Speaking of Elle, the consequences are that Char is going to be suspended for a bit, and that Mia's responsibility is going to be assisting Elle, doing whatever they do.
And the great image of you're going to assist Elle is Mia's put into this tube, or she's walking you go crawl through here and you'll find Elle. And it's the uncertainty of what's going to happen, not only to Char, but to Mia at this point is literal blackness. It's dark. And she goes, Elle, Elliot. And the next page is Elle with light all around Elle and waving. Hi.
And surrounded entirely by probably circuitry.
Elle literally is a shining beacon of light in the otherwise dark world that is space. Because Elle is sweet and kind and wonderful. And I love Elle. We then see in the before times long ago, the first time that the two, Mia and Grace, actually embraced their love for each other. There's a no word, 6 or 7 pages where they pass the bully. The bully's clearly wearing bandages on their face. And they go into a boat and they do some light kissing and they come out of the boat and their clothes are all disheveled and askew, which is the universal sign for, those two characters were doing something naughty. It's the sitcom trope. I love it. They get in trouble, but they don't really get in any actual trouble. They're get back on the train. And they do. And they sit next to each other and Mia puts her head on Grace's shoulder and they kind of drift off. It was clearly a field trip that they went off the beaten path of the field trip to do some kissing. Who among us hasn't gone off the beaten trail to do some kissing? You know what I'm saying? Put your hand down, man. Mia's really struggling in the real time, in the now time, with working with Elle. Not because Elle is bad at explaining. Elle's an incredibly good teacher without saying a single word, but Mia's just kind of forgetful.
And it's, I feel, more specialized work than she was doing otherwise.
We still don't know what Elle does, but Elle does it very well.
Their best.
They're so good at their job. And Mia even says, you're a great teacher. They work so long that they work from I think it's noon to 2 a.m. without realizing it. And at this point, Jewel goes, you two are in so much trouble. Wait, why? Well, that was with me. I had to listen to Char and Alma talk about their day. Oh my God, that sounds horrible.
Do you know what that's like?
It's so great.
This is actually, I misspoke. This is actually where Char gets the notification that she has been suspended.
Yeah. They spend the next few hours playing games way up into
it had to be
5 a.m.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's great. It's wonderful. It's such good characterization. Then we see that their next job that they're on right now, the one where Mia has been working with Elle, is to put these apartments or to turn this business building offices into apartments.
Yep.
And part of the offices is literally broken off, like it's going to fall into space. So they have to pull these ropes and tie it back together and like put it on
as a team.
And like Jules has an important part in this too, which this comes back at the end of the book. I just am now realizing this, how important this is that they secure the building together. And Jules is a part of it and paying attention. We're going to come back to that. I'm just now putting that together, which is super cool. And this is, like you said, this is when Char, they're like relaxing after the end of the day. And this is when Char finds out that she's suspended for a month or 3 months, a few months. She's suspended with no pay. So someone else is going to have to come and supervise them. We've seen them before times and long ago that the girls are clearly, whether or not they're an official item, publicly, they're an item together. They're very much in a relationship. They are studying together. There's a dance. And Mia's like, yeah, there's this dance. And Grace goes, so were you going to ask me? And Mia's like, I didn't think we went to dances. And Grace is like, you've never asked about it. Of course we're going to the dance. And Mia's like, of course we're going to the dance. And she panics. She has to go find like clothes. She has to get a flower. She has to do everything right now.
She bombs her test.
Oh yeah, she destroyed that test was horrible for her. She only passed biology, ironically, which is funny. And she did everything else wrong, which we see her studying for like history.
And unfortunately, there's really no biology to do on this construction.
Sure isn't. But in the now times, she's like, I gotta go find a flower. She's like, well, I think that Abigail ordered a bunch for her girlfriend, so you can borrow one of hers. And she's like, great, I'm gonna do that. She's like, hey, Abigail, what's that over there? And she like takes a flower and runs away.
I'll pay you back.
She's like, hey, there's a lot of swearing in this book, which is fun because it like talks like teenagers would talk.
Yep.
But it's not overly done. Like it's like Stranger Things, where it's like natural
authentic.
swearing.
I feel like it's the exact right amount.
Or like an It, like when the kid's swearing at you, like that's what a kid would say. Especially a all girls school, that there's some foul language. An all girl, all boys school, when it's just one gender in the room, man, oh man, there's some foul language. I would assume. I don't know. I've never been to one. She then shows up to Grace's door, and Grace is wearing like a little blue dress. Looks kind of like space, very cute. And Mia's wearing like
school uniform.
Is it school uniform?
It's school uniform adjacent.
It looks like a tux or like a nice suit.
It looks like a school uniform to me. I mean, if you scroll up or go back a little bit, it's like what they're wearing to class.
It's similar.
Yeah, they wear skirts. They wear colors. This is a white shirt, black tie with a 3-button jacket.
Gotcha.
This looks like a suit, not a school uniform. And it's all black. She looks great. She looks really great. And she's like, I got you a flower from a girl. I got dressed really fast. And I got to use this hoverboard because I always want to take a hoverboard. And she's like, Mia. It's like, Mia, it's fine. Thank you very much.
It's going great.
I'm very happy. So let's go to the dance. And it's very cute. And they get to the dance on the hoverboard. And the teacher's immediately like, get off of the hoverboard. What are you doing? No hoverboards in the gym. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. And they dance. And it's really fun. And this is my favorite moment that characterizes their relationship as a whole, I think. So it's like, this is when we find out that the Lux coach is blaming somebody else. And I don't know who it is. And I have to be honest, Grace. And Grace goes, no, you don't. Because, well, yeah, I do. I have to tell somebody. And Grace goes, Mia, I, Grace, am the one who took the blame. I said it was me. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, you never wonder how, like, the crash, the fight that you had with that bully, you never got in trouble. Like, I got you out of all that. And Mia's like, how? How did you do that? Says, well, I can't tell you. I'm sorry, but I would love to tell you.
I'll tell you Sunday.
And Mia goes, you're an idiot. Or she says, I would love to tell you.
But you'll hate me. And I can't.
Yeah, you're going to hate me. And then Mia says, you're an idiot. And Grace goes, excuse me? Goes, you're an idiot if you think I could ever hate you. I love you more than anything. It's like, oh, I like all the parts of you. And even though I only know about 12% of it, I guarantee you I'm going to like the rest of it. It's like, this is so cute and so nice and so teenage love. It's really sweet. And that at the same time that they're having this wonderful embrace and they're telling each other they love each other, Grace is seeing something that we have no idea what it is. It's almost like a cavern or a canyon or a cave of some sort. And she's kind of daydreaming. And Mia's like, hey, Grace, are we going back to the dance?
Dance is almost done.
Yeah, no, I'm coming.
Here's where we get Joe.
Oh, Joe is the replacement. So Joe is like definitely really strict, like makes them wear uniforms, like makes them follow like OSHA. Ugh, what a
very
nerd.
Professional, and that's basically her entire character.
And if that was it, she would be the bad guy to, the protagonist because, but the issue that I have with her is the next bit. When she's asking for reports in the day and she goes, Elle, what do you do? And Elle doesn't respond because Elle's mute. And Joe says, Joe is a woman, the woman who runs, she, like John said, in charge of place. She goes, does she not talk? And Jules goes, it's they. We've told you this multiple times. Are you just doing this because you're a jerk? And he goes, whatever. It doesn't matter. She, they, who cares? I'm going to call her what she was born. And everyone's like, dude, you suck, Joe. If it was just that you made us follow the rules, that's one thing. But you are purposely misgendering people just because you're above it? That rubbed me so the wrong way. And she's supposed to. Joe is clearly a putz for a reason.
Yep.
It's all intentional. It's great. The rest of the crew's like, I hate it here. We got to get Shar back. This sucks. I hate this so much. We then see that a little bit of backstory, what Alma and Shar used to do. Because now that they're following the rules, why did they report this? Apparently they used to not follow the rules. Yeah, but when they didn't follow the rules, that was really dangerous.
It was not exactly
Mia's
above
what are
the
you
board.
talking about? And Jules tells the story of what used to happen. They used to be what was essentially runners. They would pick people up and bring them places they weren't supposed to go. And at one point, they picked somebody up from, did they say that where they picked Elliot up from? No.
The staircase.
Do they say it though? We know that now. We finished the book. I don't think they say that.
I don't think they do either. That just that Elliot was one of their jobs.
They picked Elliot up at one point, and Elliot ended up staying with them. But that was incredibly illegal, and it was a huge problem. But they were essentially smugglers for human beings. They would get them to a safety or whatever. If the flag was down, they would show up. And again, the technology of the flag never explained. I don't care. It just makes sense to me. I love it. So Mia's like, this is
maybe
interesting.
they did mention the staircase because it ends with Mia needing a favor from Elliot, and I don't know what else that would be if she didn't know he was from staircase.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, they never explain it. They never explain what the favor was, blah, blah, blah. But we have a pretty good idea later. That's okay. Mia's like, let's look into this.
It just says Elliot was one of their jobs. A flag went up somewhere in deep space. It doesn't say exactly.
Yeah. But what Mia knows is deep space could mean maybe where Grace was. Because everything Mia's doing is to eventually, hopefully, find Grace, where we later find out. She's not just roaming aimlessly through life with job to job. She is trying to find Grace. So she has this idea that she's going to talk to Elliot. She goes and talks to Elliot and she goes, listen, Elliot, I need a favor. And then it cuts off and go to the next chapter. We don't know what the favor is yet. But we're about halfway through the book now. We cut back to seeing the big tournament day is coming up for the Lux game, the game with the fish and the planets and yada yada. The game they will never be explained, and I love it. Mia's there, helping clean, helping get the ships ready for the game. She brings in this Abigail person, and the coach is like, what do you do? You can't just bring friends. He goes, no, come on, she's going to help me. It's going to take me so long to do this stuff. Anyway, just let me have a hand. Coach is like, fine, whatever, I don't care. Get everything fixed. And this is Abigail, the person she sold the flower from. Now they're even. She brings Abigail into the Lux game. And Abigail's like, I guess we're even. It's a fun little thing, but they're all working together at the Lux game, figuring stuff out. They're trying to get everything sorted, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter too much. What the next part also doesn't matter, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's super cute. They go in this anti-gravity chamber for a class, for a gym class or something. And Mia and Grace are in there holding each other. And, I'm never going to let you go. I've got you. It's very cute. They're madly in love. I'm a huge fan. We also see that Grace is a story writer. And Grace gets to tell Mia the opening of her story, and it's very sweet. And this is the first person she's ever let read the story and
about
the story.
A strange planet where no one's allowed in or out.
Boy, oh boy, that's weird. Write what you know. Oh, wait a second. She does know this. We'll get there later. They're cute. They're adorable. And I love them. The Lux game happens the next day. And during the Lux game, or right before the Lux game, somebody pulls Grace out and says, we have a note for you. And Grace reads the note and kind of collapses. She doesn't pass out, but she's very upset. Mia's like, hey, what's going on? You're missing the game.
You got the game. We cleaned these ships.
We worked really hard. And she says to Grace, she's like, she doesn't. We flash back a year earlier where Grace is on some strange planet. And this is the planet we keep seeing. It was in Elliot's memory. Now we know this. And it was in Grace's memory. This is the staircase, we find out. And Grace's family runs the staircase. What that means, we'll find out towards the end of the book. But for now, we just know that You don't leave the staircase.
You also
People
don't go
come
to the staircase.
Absolutely. But she needs to get smuggled off the staircase to get to the school. She's going. Her sisters don't love that she's going. Her mom doesn't love that she's going, but Grandma has set this all up so that she can go.
This is a big deal because Grace is the first person to leave the staircase full stop.
Since the thing. The thing we don't know about. We'll find out later. It's a huge problem. And if she were to get caught, there would be massive consequences.
That's why they need some smugglers who maybe don't work above board per se.
Alma and Shar are the smugglers who get Grace off the planet and bring her to the school. Super cool. And Elliot is also involved. Elliot is, we see here that this is how we find out Elliot is also from the staircase. Because they're like, well, how did you know? It's amazing these smugglers were able to get through everything to get here. You better hurry up and get out of here before it all closes up on you. Say, don't worry, we got a local. It's Elliot. Elliot's from the staircase, we find out. So super cool. We cut back to what's happening right now. We find out that Grace's family is telling her she's going to be coming home. They're coming to get her. Like now. And Mia's like, listen, you can't go. You're going to tell them no, right? She goes, I can't tell them no. What are you talking about? I can't tell them no. All right, well, we can figure something out. We'll figure out a plan. We've got plenty of time.
We got time. How long's the trip here? We got time.
We got plenty of time. Don't worry. We then go to chapter 11. And chapter 11 is back in the now. And Elliot is giving Mia some ideas. They're talking through writing because that's how Elliot talks. And they need to go talk to Alma. They have to go talk to Alma now. Mia's like, oh, fine. Go talk to Alma. But what does Mia tell Alma? Well, Mia tells Alma what happened at school. And this is the first chapter in the book where it like actually literally bleeds. There's not a cut between now and 5 years ago. The page literally, she's sitting on a bed and the bed starts to bleed into the image of school. Very, very cool. The art design is phenomenal in this book. So she explains that Grace was taken by her family and she wants to find Grace. Now, if Grace just went home, that's one thing. Like, that's tough to deal with. But it's the way it happens that is so heartbreaking. So Grace's family comes to get her. They thought they had more time. They had less than a day.
Well, yeah. First, Grace and Mia are having a nice time together in Grace's room. Grace trusts Mia enough to let her wear the necklace that gave her powers. And I believe it was mentioned earlier in the book, but the necklace lets the family, it's like it's
a tracking device.
It's bigger than GPS. Yeah, it's a tracking device. So it lets them know where Grace is. So they kind of come in through the window.
They come in direct into the window, yeah.
And they're like, who is this? Who are you?
Who are you?
You're supposed to be...
He was like, I'm Grace's girlfriend.
Like, how do you have this necklace? Doesn't make any sense.
They meet. It's cute. There's a whole back and forth. And when Mia's like, well, Grace isn't going with you. Grace's like, no, hold on. It's like, whoa, you're going to go? Which is upsetting, of course. So Grace and Mia kind of mini spat.
The whole thing is like, Mom had to move underground.
Yes.
Not doing great. Yes. Can't walk, but is otherwise fine, they allude to.
Yes.
So, and it's the situation of you can come home now or potentially never.
Right.
Because also there's insane and severe weather on there and it's a whole political mess on there. So this is like the window to go home to see your mom maybe before she dies.
Grace is understandably like, maybe I do need to go home, which breaks Mia's heart. But it's breaking Grace's heart too. But Mia kind of runs away and is like, when she starts to think, okay, maybe I'm acting crazy, I should go back and talk to her. She's taken by the bullies because the bullies have found out that Grace has been expelled. Like, there's a rumor going around that Grace is leaving. Everyone knows Grace is leaving.
And it's spreading like wildfire.
Yeah. So like, cool, let's go mess with Mia because Grace is gone now. Because Grace was the only reason we couldn't mess with Mia because Grace had some powerful family control. But now we can get her. So they go to mess with Mia. They lock Mia in a storage closet thing. And she's like, Christine is her name.
Christine.
She's like, Christine, you have to let me out of here. You can't do this. Why are you doing this? And this is when we meet Christine's like other side, where she's like,
Mia's just like, be a person. Like,
and she's like, I tried to be nice. People took advantage of me, and now I'll never be nice again. It's like, yeah, that sounds about right for teenagers. Like one or a few bad incidents, and you totally go the other way.
But it's also it's an excellent example of a very minor character getting much more fleshed out than I would have anticipated, and really enjoying it.
Yes, it's really good. This goes back and forth. So it's like, let me out, please. Like, be a person. She doesn't until the morning when it's too late. Because Grace is trying to say goodbye to Mia. Grace can't say goodbye. She's like, give me a day. Come get me in the morning, family, and I'll go with you. But I need to say goodbye.
They have like a deadline of like, I think it's 7 a.m. or something very early.
And at like 7:10, Mia is let out of that little locker thing, Christine lets her out. Christine basically apologizes here. Mia accepts the apology very quickly and has to run off and find Grace, but it's too late. She never got to say fully goodbye. And this part broke my heart to watch Grace wait in her room to say goodbye and have all the memories of Mia flooding through her head and Mia sprinting to get to Grace. And looking at the panels, it's like, oh, it's like seconds apart. But really, it's probably minutes. Like there was no chance that no matter how fast Mia ran, she wasn't going to get to her in time.
Because you had to get to the ship, on the ship.
Yeah. Do I hate Christine for doing this? Yes. Does Christine seem to earn a lot of forgiveness later? Yes. Also, yes. Still sucks. Still sucks a lot, and I hate it.
It does. At this point in the modern day, a plan is hatched. Maybe we can go see Grace.
Yeah. They end up abandoning, and we're going to brush over this fast because it happens fast. We're going to leave this job and we're going to go get you to Grace. We think we can do it. But first we got to go to Shar. Because Char's been suspended. She's been gone. But I miss my wife.
I miss my wife, and like we need the gang back together.
I miss the Earth so much. I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space. It's such a timeless flight. Like I could write poetry. I feel like I made that up. Is in this book? Am I quoting this book? I feel like I made that up.
Yeah, you totally made
that up. Hey, how's it going? My name's Elton John.
Oh, I was about to ask. Yeah, is that your name?
Yeah, I got these really big sunglasses on and peacock feather hat.
He's still wearing it.
And shoes that have
John, I don't need you to tell the listeners what's going on. This is an audio podcast.
Giant fish.
Giant fish shoes. All these fish are dead. Oh, shoot. Also, spaceships. So they abandon their job. They're like, this is great. Jules gets to be kind of a little badass here. And Joe's like, you can't just abandon the job. Like, you're really screwing me here in the staff. She goes, you know what? You don't get to decide what's important for us. You can choose for yourself, but no one else. And people back like, yeah, Jules. There's a lot of swearing. Right? When we chose not to respect when you chose not to respect us, we chose not to respect you. The fact that you expect people that you crap on to treat you nicely shows how delusional you are. And Joe's like, oh my God, this is about some words? Really? It's about some words? He goes, no, you don't get this, do you? You showed up. We cooked you dinner. We played card games with you. We explained the pronouns thing very nicely. And you still didn't give it the time of day because it didn't matter to you. You are a piece of garbage. Which Jules is 100% correct. And as they're leaving, Alma says, I've already called the company. A new crew's already on the way. So we did think about you. And Joe's like, and it's kind of nice to have someone who's clearly the person in the wrong not only get told off, but then they still give her a hand. We still did think about you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're better than you.
Because now Joe can't even play like the victim card of like,
it's all
they
sorted.
left me in the lurch. I got nothing going on.
It's all sorted. Joe is just a scumbag. So Mia then talks about, they're leaving. They're going to go get to Grace. And then Mia kind of gives us like, so how hard was school after? And Mia's like, that's the thing. School was pretty great.
I had a lot of good memories.
I really was heartbroken when Grace left. I was really in a bad place for the rest of that year. But after that, like Christine and I became kind of friends. Like she really did turn around. Abigail and I joined the Lux team and we lost every game. We had a ton of fun. And I graduated with not great grades, but like my moms were okay. They weren't yelling at me. Like they were very encouraging. It's the fact that everything did turn out so well kind of pushes her to go see Grace again. She's wanted to see Grace this whole time, but now she has an option because at the end of her last months of school, the principal's like, not the principal, but her favorite teacher, Miss Adams.
Martinez,
my bad. Adams is the principal. Miss Martinez like, here's the thing. I have a sister. She does jobs out in deep space where they restore things. It might be good for you to kind of get out and see the world and to see the galaxy. Her name is Alma, and she's my sister. And my other sister recently passed away. My niece is living with her. So Mia knew ahead of time a little bit, whether or not she paid attention, that Alma and Jules were related. So that's kind of cute. Mm-hmm. She's like, you should go check them out. And she does. And her moms are like, did you bring a warm coat? Do you have enough to eat? It's so friggin' cute. When her moms are like, we just want to let you know we love you and we hope you do so well in space. Oh my God, it was adorable.
And we get the same panel that we got in the first issue, basically with Mia staring out in the vastness of space.
Yeah, the cover of the book is
is it the cover?
It's also the cover, yes.
Nice.
Yes. So they land on this planet that Shar lives on and they get to like reunite a little bit. It's really cute. And they start hatching their plan and formulating. They need to for sure get in They need to strip everything out of the ship, and they can only be there for about a month. And then after that month, the weather's going to get so bad, and it's going to. You'll be dead, or you're there forever, or you get out, no matter what. So like, yep, sounds good. Let's go for it.
And it's here where we get the backstory on TS, as they call it, the staircase. It's as big as the Earth's moon.
Before I get into this, Matt, I don't know about you. When I was reading this, I was thinking like John's going to love this part. All the political intrigue.
It was so good.
Everything that's happening. Like this is a John section.
I mean, I thought it was interesting.
It's great. No, for sure. I loved it. But I'm like, John's going to eat this up like it's candy. That boy loves political nonsense so much when it's fake.
Yeah.
He's going to love this. Go ahead, John. Tell us what happens.
So it's as large as the Earth's moon, and there are healing rocks there, which the healing rocks basically heal people. A lot of other cultures sought the resources to heal their own.
There's healing water too.
Healing water.
Which cleans the air.
To heal their own climate that has been polluted. The healing rocks also bring wildlife that can only survive there. And there was a lot of push and pull politically. The hills have always been in control of the staircase. They never left control of the staircase.
The family of the hills, yeah.
Yeah. And it was very, very fantastic. Long story short, it was decreed that the compromise, quote unquote, is no one can go there, but also no one can leave there. Mm-hmm. It is going to be isolated, capped off, and over there and inaccessible.
Through selfishness and through whatever.
Yeah.
It was just isolation.
Yep.
So with that in mind, Grace could not leave. And Elliot could not leave.
Yep.
They both did. It was
the school is afraid to do anything adverse to Grace because of the political influence she has.
Yes, absolutely. So they do get to the planet and they do go on their scouting mission. The first scouting mission is Jules, Elliot, and Mia are on one team. Then you have Charlotte, Alma, and is that it? Another team? There's only 5?
Char and Alma are separate.
There is a cool training montage where Elliot is the most badass monk I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great. They go off on their own group. You're right, Matt. I believe Alma is with Mia and with somebody else.
Alma is with Mia and Elle. Char
Elle's definitely with Mia
together. The captains split.
That's right. So they go and they're looking through since everyone has moved underground, we find out the surface has all these buildings that are completely empty, but there are these women who walk around it's like, okay, do you remember the person you remember Madeline?
Yes.
It's kind of like a Madeline outfit, but it's all black, like the big circular hat and the scarf and the jacket, but it's all black. So Madelines are running around looking for people.
The vibe I got was more like Kung Lao, I guess, with the hat.
Oh, for sure. That's a much better description than Madeline. That's fair.
But when you see the silhouette of the one person from a distance, look kind of like a samurai, like Yojimbo type thing,
yes.
Like the huge coat and the hat. Mm-hmm. Like that was really cool.
And they don't know what these people patrol the surface. We don't know why yet.
Canonically in my head, they're all Kung Lao now.
You know what? That's super sick. I'm super down. The first few walks don't go anywhere. They don't find anything. They realize that there's no one on the surface. If Grace is here, she's underground.
But they may have been followed.
Right. So they have to go underground on their next scouting mission. They have been followed. They end up running and scattering, which separates the groups. You have Elle and so Jules goes off completely on her own, on accident, runs down like a little cavern. Then you have Elle and Mia are together, and then Alma and Charlotte are together. Alma and Charlotte are captured pretty much immediately. It's Mia and who's captured?
Alma and Charlotte.
Alma and Charlotte. Cool. Mia and Elle escape, and Jules falls into this like Miyazaki-esque beautiful world. It's so pretty.
We'll find out.
We'll get why that's. We'll get to there. So Char and Alma are brought before essentially the Elder, while Mia and Elliot continue to go, and Elliot speaks to Mia.
After Mia's like, what are we doing? We need a plan. Elliot writes down, go find Grace. That's what you're here for.
But where are you going to go, Elliot? And Elliot says something, and it's really cool.
And the words are entirely cut off by the frame. So
there's right in there. You're like, I know what it says.
I think at the end of it says you, but that's all I got.
I don't know, but I'm really mad that
I can make out the you.
And we don't learn either.
Never ever.
Like I thought it was going to be a flashback.
We never learned.
No.
Char and Alma are in a jail. Jules continues to go down this this beautiful world.
Guided by this fox.
Let's do this because
thing.
these split off here. Let's go through one at a time and just go to their logical conclusions each. How's that sound?
Sure.
Let's go with Jules first.
Yeah.
Jules, it is kind of like it's like a Miyazaki-esque fantasy world. It's beautiful. She gets to this, like, she follows this like cute little fox that she calls Marshmallow.
And then Biscuits later.
To a much bigger fox.
Yeah.
And the fox is like the god of this world. It's like this spirit. And he goes, the air here is incredibly poisonous, and I can tell that you've already breathed in a lot of it. You're going to die.
And
Jules
and the fox is like,
no.
No one's ever come this far. We don't know what happens next.
And the fox is like, Jules, like, you need to please get me back to my friends. I can't die here. I will do what I can, but you're probably going to die. And she goes, please. She goes, fine, follow the small fox. She goes, Marshmallow. And Marshmallow's going to literally take her out.
Yep.
And she does. And as she breaks out, she does end up meeting up with Alma and Shar. They bring her there. Like, she met with the spirits. She's going to die.
Mhm.
And Shar is like, you have to let me save her.
The fox is among the oldest creatures, and no one on the staircase has ever had a bond with the fox. But somehow Jules did.
Somehow the fact that the fox let her out.
And that is crazy by all accounts. Alma and Shar were captured, and that's pretty much it. They initially have an audience with someone who seems to be the leader, probably with the mother.
It's the mother.
It's
yes,
the mother.
yes.
And she goes, listen, I will hear you out because of what you did for Grace. I owe you nothing else.
And then when it's found out that Elliot's there and they brought Elliot there, they go, I'm done talking to you. You can go back. You didn't
mention one of your associates was Elliot Reed.
Something like that.
Isn't Elliot Reed the name of somebody famous?
It's
from something.
Elliot Reed sounds familiar.
I'll think about it later. But yeah, so then she's like, that's when Jules comes in and she goes, because of this girl's connection with the oldest animal here, I will allow you to take her back to your ship to try to get medicine. But that's it. Alma stays here.
Yeah.
And Charlotte's like, fine.
It's a necessity thing. Only needs one person to go get the medicine, so you don't both need to go.
Which one stays? Which one goes?
Alma goes
because it's her niece.
Family.
Yeah. So that's what happens with their story. Charlotte and Alma, we've explained their story. Mia and Elliot, the two heaviest plot lines in this last part of the book. We find out who Elliot is and what Elliot is. So previously, Elliot was a full-on speaking cartographer. And everyone on this planet also recognized that Elliot was
and they were damn good at their job.
Really good. And they only had to see like a little bit.
Like no one else could come close.
Except for their mother figure, their mentor.
Yeah.
Sid. Sid was incredible. Sid, I like to think of talks. Sid had like a deep, gruff voice, and like she smoked a lot, but she was also incredibly good at cartography. But she was dying, or she was sick. She was going to die. So she was teaching Elliot everything that Elliot needed to know. They go down into the caverns, and those fox creatures are there. And one of the foxes kills Sid. We don't know how. We don't know why. We just know that Sid is murdered or killed by the wolf. Elliot, seeing his entire world dead in front of him, kills the fox, the old fox. Now, this is a huge problem. What did I say?
Him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Them. Elliot kills the fox. This is a huge problem because this thing is revered and like worshipped. And it is a mortal sin to kill one of these foxes, which they didn't even know that humans could, but Elliot did it. So they're going to kill Elliot. That's when Elliot gets off planet. So Elliot coming back, they want to kill Elliot. They do end up finding. So Elliot goes to the shrine. Elliot first goes to see the person who is Sid's, I think, actual daughter. And they talk like, Sid loved you and I can't believe you're back. You need to go. That's the person who got Elliot off planet the first time. And Elliot says, well, Elliot talks at this point. Says, I have to go to the shrine. Like, I'm going to the shrine. And the person's like, it's a terrible idea. Just get out of here before they catch you. They don't know you're here yet. You can live. Elliot's like, that's great. I love you too. I'll see you later. Elliot goes to the shrine. They're waiting at the shrine for Elliot. Whether or not they knew he was there, or I think they did. They attack Elliot and stab him repeatedly.
Them.
What? God, sorry. They attack Elliot. I should just say that. I'm so bad at that. I have a student who is also non-binary, and they're always like, I'm pretty good with the they, but whenever I mess up, I apologize. Like, it's okay. Like, you're doing your best. Like, no, I could do a little better. With Elliot here, I've only known them as they, so I don't know why I keep doing that. I apologize. Elliot is stabbed, but Elliot is also a complete badass and doesn't die.
He's like a monk ninja.
So sick.
Something.
So sick.
Gets messed up though.
It's bad. For sure looking like dead. Dead Elliot. But we'll get there in a minute because we got to jump over to Mia. Mia finds Grace's sister and is like, hey, it's me.
Yeah,
Grace's sister.
Jane, which was the one that she had the standoff with back at the dorm room.
Which we brushed over, but yes. Yeah. Jane is clearly the older defensive sister of Grace. It's like, you're here to see Grace? Like, you know where you are? It's like, yeah, I know where I am. I'm to see Grace.
You know, it's been like forever, right? It's been like 4 years. It's been 5, thank you.
5.
But 5 is a long time. Grace and me are like 18, 19?
Yeah, that's the thing. From 14 to 19, you are a different person.
Uh-huh.
You are totally a different person.
So she brings her to her sister. She sees Mia and Grace. They meet up again. And Grace lives in this like house by herself. And it's really like, it's really cool. But the house is completely black and dark, except for one of the doors has a couple stars on it. And she knocks, go away, Jane, I'm busy. And she opens the door and Grace is like, got a pencil sticking out of her mouth. She's like, what do you want? She turns and sees it's Mia. She says, your hair's short. Yeah, I just got it cut, actually. She had literally gotten it cut on the ship. It was very cute. And they're like talking and like, you know, why are you here? And because I didn't get to say goodbye. And you came 5 years later and millions of miles to just say goodbye. And like, well, no, I needed to like see you and see that you were okay.
Also broke the law to come see her.
Yeah. And they have, and I will not be able to do this justice without reading it all. So I'm not going to read it all. But, you know, it's essentially what Mia says is if there's any way that, you know, I could see you again and just to know you're okay. That's all I wanted. Even if it cost me my life or if it cost me, you know, legality issues, whatever, I needed to be here with you to, you know, blah, blah, blah. Me and my friends came here. I mean, Grace is like, you have friends? You're so good at making friends. I'm so glad that you have friends. It's like, yeah, hey, just if you ever wanted to come on to the ship with us, you could. We totally got room. There's no pressure.
You could like work or you could just like hang out. Like it's fine.
Grace is like, I can't just leave. Like, I don't know. That's a lot. Mia's like, no, I get that. Hey, Mia, why didn't you come say goodbye to me? Mia's like, I tried. I was just late.
I like that she doesn't mention the whole bit with Christine.
Because it's a non-issue at this point. Like, you don't, it is what it is. It sucks. Mm-hmm. But but Grace, I did make it here to say goodbye to you. It just took me 5 years. And it's really cute. And they're both crying. And Grace says, you always were kind of tardy. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cute. They do hold hands and they hug. And it's then, so nice.
Not just hold hands, Mia gives Grace back the necklace, gives her back her powers.
It's so nice. Alma is bringing Elliot. No. Whoa, that's a different thing. That's something else I skipped over. Sorry. Elliot is wounded really badly. And he's kind of trouncing through the area. Finds Shar, who had escaped. And Char's like, let's go, Elliot. We're getting to the ship. We're getting out of here. At the same time, Alma and Jules are on the ship. They're like looking, like Charlotte said, before Alma left, Charlotte said, you come pick us up at the entrance. I'm going to get out of here. We'll be ready for you. And Alma's like, yep, sounds good. You got it. Once I make sure that Jules and I are on the ship, we will come get you. And they do. And they return together.
Yep.
And so all 4 of them are on the ship now. Elliot and Jules are on some sort of like life support kind of thing. They're not dead yet, but they're not in great shape.
No, really quickly, Jane, Grace's sister, does come to see her just to check up.
Yeah, and Mia's like, Jane, can you please bring me to my ship? Jane's like, absolutely, let's go. We'll get you to your ship. The ship has taken off at this point into space because Alma and Charlotte realize they are going to get shot down and they're all going to die unless they leave right now. Well, what about Mia? We have to look at the
We got to go.
We have to go. Mia sees them up in the sky and is like, no, you cannot leave. This cannot be how this ends. And she starts to cry and she starts to scream everyone's names. She's like, no. And at this point, she had been drawn in like a reddish color, like when she starts to panic. And the background was black and the snow underneath her is white. As she starts to realize the ship is going away, she turns all white and she goes like really small on this like black background. And so she looks insignificant. And she realizes that this is where it ends. She's going to die here alone without Grace because Grace didn't come with her, without her new friends because they left because they had to leave. But Grace and Jane are there and they're like, hey, we got this. Send up a flare. And Mia's like, what? Grace, why are you here? She's like, well, I needed a couple minutes to think about if I could join you.
Which that also echoes what happened previously, where she did need the time to, like, she did cave and did return home, but it wasn't an immediate okay or no.
Grace doesn't do anything on impulse. That's Mia's job.
Mm-hmm.
Grace is analytical. They're very type A, type B, or left brain, right brain people. And that's why they work so well together, because they make one whole brain, even though it's not how the brain actually works. And it's like a proven theory that's wrong. Anyway, it's really cute. They're really cute together. And the blue flare goes up from Jane, signaling that they need to come land. And blue means friendship and it's safe. And Jane has said, hey, I've called off the dogs, but you need to go. Like, I can hold them off for a little while. You need to get out of here. They do. They all get on the ship together.
Jane did also clear that ship to leave the barrier.
Yes. They all get on the ship. And when Mia steps on the ship with Grace is like, oh, this is cool. They're looking around and Mia's like, what happened to you?
Did you
Elliot's
fight
like,
a war?
Elliot's like bleeding out. And Jules is like, oh, what's up, queen? Like she's dying. It's great. But they're okay. Elliot and Jules are okay, which if this is real life and they were on this fish in space, they probably would be dead. But it's not. And I love that.
It's a little bit of a plot hole. I don't know how Elliot's okay, because Shar says, I cannot fix this many wounds.
Correct.
But I'm okay with it. I'm great.
I think it was the
Elliot's
healing, I think it was the healing rocks that they talk about, and it's like you're supposed to know that. But again, you're right. It's a plot hole. I do not care. This is a book where I'm like, well, that doesn't make a ton of sense, but whatever.
Pure willpower.
The power of friendship and love.
How I'll survive.
Anime, love, power, friendship.
What I also love here is that Jules sees Grace and says, hello there, but it's in cursive, so you know it's hello there.
And who is this? Your little lover? He's like, God, you're embarrassing me. It's great. They all leave the planet together, and they're together. It's really nice. And if it ended there, it would be so nice. But it doesn't end there. There's one more chapter. And this next chapter harkens back briefly to everything we've seen so far. The made-up games, the Jules' lack of paying attention. It all comes full circle here. So what happens here is Shar and Alma are like, hey, we've been getting the ship loaded up. And you're thinking, oh, they're going to go on another job. Shar and Alma are out.
They're done.
They have given up their ship to the new captain.
And they decided that even though they're happy, they have not had much time to be a couple and to enjoy each other's company truly.
Because
they're long days. Yeah. So Alma gave the ship, which is named the Actis, which is Greek for Sunbeam.
Which, like, again, I was like, oh, John's gonna love this. It's Greek.
So great. Yeah. So it's all very wholesome, very happy. They get to spend their days being a couple on this happy, pretty much idyllic planet. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. They're like, hey, Jules, quick, do it. Jules and Grace are making a game together because they're both incredibly creative. They're making a video game. It's super cute. And they're like, hey, did you do the thing with the wing? It's like, yeah, I did the thing. Shut up. We're doing a thing up here. We're making a video game. Okay, great. We find out that Mia is the captain of the ship. They're all getting set up there. This is when they say their goodbyes. Like, not forever, but hey, we're going to stay here. You guys, good luck. You guys are doing. They're going to go do the same job that they've been doing. They're going to go do restoration, which they're all pretty good at, especially Elliot. And Elliot also is back to not talking. They talked to the people they needed to on the planet. But again, the selective mutism is clearly trauma-based. So it's okay. It's not important that Elliot ever learns how to talk again. It's important that Elliot gets to deal with their trauma. And they did. It's really nice. And it's still hard for them to talk. They fly up into the air. And that's when we find out that Jules didn't actually secure the wing. It didn't happen. Now, previously, Mia probably would have panicked and freaked out, and the ship would have crashed and I would have died. But Mia's the new captain, and Mia's a new person. Not totally, but there's a lot of positive changes that have happened. Mia is calmly able to explain, here's what we need to do. Here's how we're going to fix this. Grace, I need you to please come control the ship. Grace goes, I can't fly. She goes, that's fine. Here's what you're going to do. And she very calmly explains step by step how to fly the plane very briefly, the ship very briefly. And they're able to connect the wing again, and it all works out. All because of Mia's growth as a character. Mia's a totally different person, but also the same person. And they all fly off into space to go do their job together.
They don't crash. They fix it.
As this is happening, Alma and Char are like, oh my God, they're going to crash. They're going to die. This is horrible. And then they don't. And the last lines of the entire book are Alma and Shar, or the last lines that those two get to say, they have their arms around each other, they go, they're okay. And they are okay. Are they all perfect? Are they all fixed forever? No, but they're okay. They get to be together. They're not dead yet. Grace and Jules go to start their next level to work on their video game. And Mia says, that's okay. You can go on with them. I'm going to get on course and then I'll join you guys. She looks out the window and she sees her old self in the window in the reflection from when she was in high school. And she kind of like breathes out and the reflection's gone because everything's finally on track. Everything's finally on course. And that's where the book ends. And it's really cute. I loved it.
One other subtle touch I loved was that she got her hair cut. It mirrors Alma's, very short, very business. And I believe that symbolizes that she has to grow up. She has to take responsibility. She has to do things now. And that's what, and her becoming the captain is a great reflection of that.
She also puts on Char's jacket.
Yeah.
That's Char's jacket at the end. So Char, she has two moms who love her and have been great.
Very supportive, happy home from everything we've seen in this book.
But you don't learn from only your parents. She's clearly learned something from these two as well, Alma and Char, of how to be a different person. Not better, because better sounds like you were not good before. Just different. And it's very positive and it's very wholesome. It's very sweet and I loved it. For our first book of Pride Month, I was like, this will be fun. Space.
Second.
Sorry. Pride Month technically hasn't happened yet. We're still in May. We're recording early. So, whoops. For our second book of Pride Month, I was like, for our first
barely in May.
For our first, it's the end of
May. We're barely in May.
I know. For our second book of Pride Month, our first independent book of Pride Month, I was not skeptical. I wasn't nervous, but I was like, this will be fun. It's going to be great. It won't have the polish of a DC or Marvel book, but that's sometimes fun. But I wasn't expecting to be, this emotionally blew me away.
The panic we had was after committing to the book, noticing the length.
Yeah, it is a long one.
Substantially longer than something we would normally cover in this podcast, but it was worth it.
And we missed so much of this book. You have to read this book yourself. You're going to love it. It's so good. You know the gist of the story, but it's not the journey, or it's not the end destination. It's the journey along the way that really sells the book, and it's the best part of the book. You should really read the book.
And I do want to correct myself. There are no male characters. I looked at the cast of the Lux teams. I couldn't definitively point out.
Sure,
that's a myth. So I just wanted to correct it because I misspoke earlier.
It really doesn't matter the way, but
I just wanted it on the record.
I appreciate that about you because you're very thorough. That was really good. Matt, what did you think about the book?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun book. The only thing I would have had was the like end maybe have some sort of showing of affection between them.
Sure. Between Mia and Grace.
Yeah, because I felt like, oh, here's this huge thing, and like that's
sure,
it's normal. Like they probably had that, but I don't know.
I think it's kind of realistic that, like, in the movies, and like, oh, they've finally been reunited. Big passionate kiss. Not realistic.
No.
I think this is more realistic, but I would have liked for them to kiss or hold hands or something. I do see what you're saying.
The romantic.
I liked it. What I took from it was that the search to get to Grace and all that, through that, we got to see Mia kind of grow up into the person that into someone that she's finally happy with. And the entire book, we didn't know what that was going to be. Like school was not going well. Yeah. This construction job was like not a normal profession by all accounts from the context we got in the book. So I like seeing her come full circle from this person who, the first shot we see of her is the cover where she's just staring out, doesn't know exactly what's going on, to now being confident and assured in who she is and taking the role of her mentor, which was excellent. It was
really great. It was a really good book. Let's find out what we're reading next week and have our outro next after this brief musical interlude. And that is the podcast this week, gentlemen. Another fun book. It's not fun. It was fun.
It was
great.
Fun.
It was great.
Jules was fun.
Jules.
I would like to institute a new rule that if we ever make a comic book, we have to have Jules in it.
Jules
I mean,
rules.
we got to
Jules
contact
rules.
the author.
Shut up, John. Be quiet.
We can't just
Yeah, I understand. Listen, this isn't the copyright podcast, okay?
Jules rules.
God, oh. A
I-
Jules-like character. How
I
is that
enjoy
better?
that-
It can be inspired by Jules.
that my favorite character in The Stand and also my favorite character in this book is somebody who is mute. I'm a big
Well, it's
fan,
because the best characters don't talk.
Yeah.
They do.
obviously.
You can put that on a t-shirt. Don't put it on a t-shirt. What are we reading next week?
Next week, we're reading Truth, Red, White, and Black.
The story of
The story of Isaiah Bradley.
Brad. I want to say Thomas.
Every time, right?
I don't know why.
It's written by Robert Morales and I believe drawn by Kyle Baker.
This is the story of the Black Captain America from the
As
perspective of the Black. It's supposed to be very, very good. The story is interesting. We know that, but the actual book itself gets very high reviews.
I'm very impressed and surprised the character is in the MCU.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
There's a very quick time from published to appearance in the MCU.
Yes, makes sense. It's great. This is in honor of remembrance of Juneteenth, which we can talk more about on the actual episode, but we wanted to make sure we covered that as well as Pride Month, because they're both incredibly important.
Mhm.
It's very cool. We do have some other information here. I know This Week in Geek, maybe you can edit this in, Matt.
Mhm.
I got a press release here, not sent to me, but it was posted on Twitter. Did you get this? Hold on,
I have Twitter.
Hold on, let me send it to you. Okay, so if you check your phone, it's a Twitter release from Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom. And it's, you guys know what rainbow capitalism is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, yes, I know.
Like literally the
Explain
The
your
second-
egregious shirts at all the big box stores that no one would ever in their right minds buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, gay is okay, and closets are meant for shirts, which is this the worst one I've ever seen. But yeah,
Mhm.
so Victor
That's a
Von,
shirt.
that's not even a joke. There's a
They're
shirt that says closets are for clothes, and it's just written in rainbow font.
also not a joke is a green nail polish called Yas Green. Again, not a joke.
The straight face that John said that with, it's going to haunt me for the rest of my days. Anyway, gentlemen, you've heard rainbow capitalism. Dr. Doom is tweeted out, and as you can see, rainbow authoritarianism?
Yeah,
That's confusing.
I don't really know what that's
Hold on, I'm going to read into it a little bit better. Dr. Doom wants... You're got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous.
What, you're a faster reader than I am.
Dr. Doom, Dr. Victor Von Doom of Latveria is promoting gay rights. Not just for the month of June. Like, forever. Dr. Doom is pro equal rights?
I mean, is that so bad?
No, it's great. It just, doesn't it shock you a little? Has he ever given off the idea that he would be pro gay rights or pro equal trans rights or whatever like that? It doesn't seem...
I mean, all programming aside, the Doombots are non-binary.
That's right.
So that's like entire workforce.
That makes sense. There's a video here on Twitter. I'm just going to... Matt, can you edit this in and we'll just let it play? Yeah. Okay. This is what Victor Von Doom has to say about it.
Doom supports crushing and destroying all enemies, leaving them dead and wasted by their feet. But he also is very inclusive and supports bringing up equal rights. Here at Doombot Industries, we have a award-winning diversity program here. It doesn't matter what color you are or what you believe. Here at Doom, we will bring peace and equality to all, but also destroy everything.
You know, if you're in for equality, you got to be in for equality by force.
That is the Doom this week.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.